Natasha.
What's up?
Natasha Pearl Hansen, how are you? Comedian and actress and producer from LA.
Yes, I kind of wear a few different hats. Sorry, as we're speaking, I'm shutting my patio doors. A Toyota Tercel just drove by and sounded like it was going to murder everybody.
Is that what that was? I was going to ask, being in LA, are you safe from the fires?
I am. Yes, I'm down in the Miracle Mile, which is pretty south of where the fires are. The fires are up in Malibu and up in the canyon, but I do have a lot of friends who've lost their homes, and it's fucking crazy. It's like hell up here.
It is crazy just to think that could just get that out of control and just keep going. I love that the Fuhrer was so gracious as to not offer aid and to blame California for it. Fuhrer Trump, he's a real piece of shit.
I know, he absolutely sucks, and I can't even talk about him because it makes me just like want to barf.
Is there anything like presidential about him? There's no class. It's just such trash. Like,
just a gross person. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but you know what? Here's kind of my outlook, and here's how I survive LA. Period. Is there are plenty of gross people in the world.
Just everywhere.
But
yeah.
Most people I come across are pretty great for a number of reasons. So I think the good outweighs the bad, so we can survive this.
I think so. Yeah, I just love, like I was telling someone on one of the breaks, like, yeah, he blamed California for their forest management, but how do you blame the people even? Like, if that's your claim.
Nobody, I'm sorry, nobody wants to lose their house.
No.
I mean, like, it's fire. My mom went through a fire when she was a kid, and she's got 2 baby pictures. I mean, it's stuff like that, and I understand possessions aren't really a big deal. Like, can't take them with us when we go, but there's heirlooms, there's things that are treasured. I mean,
you want to pass
I would
along.
be devastated if I lost all my pictures from high school. So I feel for these people, and
it's everything.
I hate to hear anybody would think somebody would want that for themselves.
Yeah, basically everything you have is in your home. I mean, it literally is. It literally is. And you put so much into some of this stuff.
Your house is a storage unit in which you can sleep.
Yeah. You sleep in the middle of just piles of shit. Just piles of shit you collect.
Yeah. And it's also a place of comfort. You get comfortable with that house. Being forced to go to a new house or staying in a hotel or whatever.
It's just.
Well, currently, right now, I'm sorting clothing on my dining room table because, that's something that I was saying the other day on social media that, a lot of people don't really know how to help because, I don't have like $1 million I can give somebody and I can't go repair a house. But, I have a friend whose family lost their stuff. And so I have their sizes and I'm collecting stuff from people. So
that's awesome.
You can just do whatever you can fucking do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. What am I going back to your stuff? How long have you been doing comedy?
Oh my gosh. I started working with Second City in Chicago 12 years ago. Holy crap, that makes me feel old. But so I've been working in the comedy space for that long. I think I would legitimately say I started doing stand-up about 8 years ago when I started taking it really seriously. And I first got paid to do any sort of comedy work about 9 years ago. So I guess if you average it all out, I've been working in comedy for 9 or 8.5 years.
What do you prefer, acting or comedy?
I mean, they kind of go hand in hand, to be honest. I do, right now, as we are speaking, I have 3 scripts in front of me for auditions tomorrow. So I do a lot of auditions for sitcoms, and I like to write. Basically, what I say is that comedy is my space or my umbrella. So I enjoy doing a lot of things under that umbrella. I love doing stand-up, but I also love to write and create content and, do sitcom work and that kind of stuff.
What is your pilot? I did want to ask. What is it called? The Assistants?
Assistants was a pilot that I shot with a friend 4 years ago. So that was one of the first. The year before that was when I got my first pilot that was in the semifinals with NBC. Playground. So out of like 4,000 submissions, I made it to the top 30 with another partner of mine. And then we came so close with that pilot that I was like, you know what, I'm just going to keep creating stuff. And so the next year, my friend and I created this pilot together and shot it, and it did really well on the festival circuit. And then,
awesome.
yeah, I mean, I've just kind of kept writing and creating, and right now I have two actual half hours that I'm shopping and 3 digitals that I'm shooting in the next couple months.
Awesome. That's what I was going to ask. Was it picked up by a network?
Well, no, that's a touchy thing because, gosh, the space is so different now. I mean, I almost don't even aim to get picked up by a network because networks are a lot more finicky. And so if, like, say I were to get something on air with NBC by the grace of God, then they might only give it 6 episodes. And if it doesn't hit the numbers that they want, they'll just can it.
Yes.
So it's really smart to start digitally.
Yeah. That's what I was wondering.
I did just sell a series with one of my friends. It's an Instagram series. So we have that written for a full half hour, but we're going to shoot 20 episodes for Instagram in the next few months. And then that's in partnership with a smaller studio here.
That makes me think of
stuff like that.
Justin Roiland with Rick and Morty. I think the first game he put out was an Instagram game.
Oh, I didn't even know like Instagram was doing stuff like that now. Wow.
Yeah, well, I mean, and you can put your own things on there too. I mean, when you have any sort of following, you can, you have IGTV. I've been telling people more and more, if you want to create something, just do it, like, make it short, get people to pay attention to it, and then it's easier to sell it as a longer form later down the road once you actually have interest,
That's awesome.
That makes a lot of sense because you are seeing now like a lot of like podcasts, like story podcasts are being adopted to TV series or movies and stuff like that. So that makes a lot of sense.
One of my writing partners, he's been a producer on like Orange is the New Black and Weeds and a bunch of big series, and so he's just finished working on the latest season of Dirty John, which was a podcast.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I
mean, if you have a good idea and you put it out there and people pay attention, no matter what way you do it, if it's, even if you're tweeting it, I mean, it doesn't even matter. If somebody thinks that your voice is cool, it can become anything nowadays. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I just binge watched Homecoming, and that was based on a podcast as well.
Well, that was like
I didn't know that.
I think Lore as well.
Lore, yep. Lore
Steve
as well,
Coulter.
yep.
I don't know if he was in it or if he just knew the guy that made it, but yeah, he messaged me. I think it was about a year ago, and he said it was it was a show, but yeah, it was originally a podcast, right? Yep. Definitely.
Nice. I'll have to check those out. I have an ever-growing list of series that I need to watch, but the next one I can't wait for is season 2 of Marvelous Miss Maisel. Have you guys seen that?
I've wanted to. I've seen. Is that an Amazon original? I think it's
so good. It's the best show. It's one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life.
What is it about?
So a housewife. God, what is the era? Like the 1940s, I want to say 1940s, 1950s. She is a stay-at-home mom. Her husband leaves her for his secretary, and he's trying to be a stand-up comic, but she's actually much funnier than him. So one night after he leaves her, she goes into the comedy club drunk that he always would hang out at and goes on stage and crushes. And
that sounds awesome.
It's about her rise as a stand-up comic, and she just it's just a really good story, and it's acted so well and it's written so well. It's unbelievable. So yes, watch it.
I would definitely.
If I can ever write something that good, I will be the most proud of myself.
I would definitely recommend checking out Homecoming because it's only 10 episodes and they're like 30-minute long episodes, so it's easy to get through. And it stars Julia Roberts, who I didn't know was still around, but she's amazing. In this series, I don't know if you know. Have you? I thought she was dead. I was like, oh, Julia Roberts, she did Pretty Woman or something. I don't know.
Gone. Somewhere.
I don't know. Have you ever seen Mr. Robot? Are you familiar with what Mr. Robot is?
Mr. Robot, I've only seen snippets of. I haven't watched Like I said, I have so many series that I just don't have time to sit down and watch them all. Right now, the only series I'm watching is The Mick. I'll have to pick one at a time and just kind of watch it. The Mick is really, really good too. Yeah, I haven't gone through the entirety of Mr. Robot, and I need to do that.
So Homecoming with Julia Roberts is actually written and directed by the guy that made Mr. Robot. Like, he's kind of done with that project. Like, he's doing one more season, and Julia Roberts executive produced this with him because both him and Julia Roberts were like huge fans of this podcast apparently, and they were like, let's turn it into a series. But it's got all like the same kind of filming and tone of Mr. Robot.
Amazing. Well, I'll definitely check it out.
I wanted to ask Natasha. Sorry.
Tell me, where are you guys located?
New Jersey.
Okay, New Jersey. You're East Coast. That's what I thought.
We're down by Atlantic City.
I almost was calling you way later than I was supposed to because I had down 8 p.m. and shit.
That fucking time difference, it'll fuck you up.
Yeah.
Where have you performed, Natasha, stand-up? Have you been in New York, or has it just been L.A.?
I've performed in New York 7 times this year.
Oh, wow.
Where do you prefer to perform?
It's tough to say. I mean, I love living here and being based in Los Angeles. I get a lot of work out here, a lot of commercial work, a lot of, just work that's really steady. But as far as my respect for stand-up, New York is the Mecca. So I whenever I like to do, it's kind of a hard thing to describe, but I guess whenever I'm working through a new piece of material, I'll work it out here. And once I get it to a place where I think it's pretty great, I'll go out to New York and do a week of shows. Usually that's like 2 shows a night for a week, so 14 shows. By then it's like polished. And then usually I'll try to take it to Chicago to make sure it hits. And if it hits in Chicago, I know it's fucking good.
That's awesome.
So that's kind of my trajectory. So I kind of bounce between those 3 cities a lot.
Chicago's a tough crowd?
It's not a tough crowd. It's just not it's hard to really differentiate what the cities give you, but LA is kind of
experimental.
LA can be more by credit. So sometimes, you can be somebody might be brought on stage and they've done this and they've done this, it's just like a flashy credits and they might just do okay. And then you might crush and people will still pay more attention to the person that was on whatever series, so it's kind of, it's kind of hard to say, but LA can be kind of an interesting crowd in that way. New York is totally comedy. Like, people that go to see comedy really like comedy. Oh. I love New York crowds because I feel like they're the least forgiving. And the thing with Chicago is they're just chill. I mean, it's a Midwest. It's like a upper Midwest kind of crowd. So once you take something from a city that doesn't want to like you to a city that doesn't really give a fuck who you are, and then back to a city that just wants to be your buddy and drink beer with you afterwards, then you know that you've hit the trifecta.
That's great.
I should write that down. That was good. I'm glad I pulled that out of my ass.
I was going to ask you too, Natasha, your podcast, Future Role Models.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that for?
I started in April.
Oh, wow, because you seem to have a lot of episodes.
I do. I have 30. I've done diligent taping every week, and I love it. It's so fun to have one-on-ones with people that I've known for a long time. And
that's what I was going to ask.
Really have
if you knew all those people before.
Huh?
I'm sorry. I was going to ask if you knew all the people that you interview, if you knew them previously, or if you just had asked them to be on your show.
Yes. So I like to interview people that I have a backstory with of some kind. My first 10 episodes were people that I'm definitely, I should say I intersperse it a lot. I try to balance it between somebody that I have like a really good backstory with to somebody that's kind of a newer friend in comedy, or somebody that I might have known for 7 years, but we've never really become homies until recently. I mean, it's kind of like that in the comedy scene where you know of somebody for a long time, but you don't know what their mom's name is, Like, I've known some people for 7, 8, 9 years, and I don't know how many siblings they have. So there's something wrong with that. So that's kind of my goal, is to fix that about my relationships with comics, and kind of like make people feel okay about being fuck ups. Like, kind of my brand and thing that I kind of stand for and everything that I write about is like, ooh, I fucked up on this thing. I'm going to talk about it, you know?
That's cool. So it's like reinventing the role model.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to ask too, who is one of your role models that isn't a conventional one?
And so many. I would say that when I think of my first and foremost role model, is my grandma, and I talk about her a lot in my comedy, and one of the series that I'm pitching is about my relationship with her. So she was always kind of my parents were really young when they had me, so my grandma was kind of my cool mom, and my mom was just like my dumb older sister. So my grandma and I really bonded, and I don't know how to describe it, but she's kind of endured a lot of shit. I mean, she was in an abusive marriage for 10 years and lost her house to a fire and lived in the ghetto and survived a lot of different losses and survived just her crazy story. And it was about 2.5 years ago. Well, about 7 years ago, she wrote a memoir and wasn't planning on doing anything with it. It was just kind of sitting in my email inbox for a long time. And then 3 years ago, my grandfather passed away. And so about 2.5 years ago, I went through and edited the memoir without really letting her know. And I did she came out to LA, and I had a book signing here for her and put it on Amazon.
Wow.
So her memoir is on Amazon, and yeah, so it's kind of a fun little relationship that we have. So she's like number one.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then as far as role models in the comedy space, I Love Lucy, hands down. I watched her every day growing up.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something, Slim.
Oh, no, my mother was a big fan of I Love Lucy.
I just remember my Aunt Patty, when I was a kid, she came down to visit us, and yeah, she had to have it on. Like, she loved that.
And her third Mike, who's not here tonight, this Lamborghini, is like third or 16th cousin of Lucia Ball.
Oh, I did not know that.
He said it was during the show.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I ignore him a lot. He's usually stuck in the corner, and I don't acknowledge
I love when he tells the story, like I get him to tell it to people, because I go, hey, Slambo, this person's a big fan of I Love Lucy, and he's like, oh, you are? Oh, I got this great story. It's like my great cousin 16th something remove is Lucia Bond. And we're like,
wow.
All right.
We gotta get him back.
Oh my god. He's gotta like chart it out for people. It's always funny because I'm like distantly related to Halle Berry, and when I was in high school I thought it was so cool, and I'd have to like draw a map on a piece of paper to show people how we're like, if you have to get a pen and paper out to show somebody how you're related to somebody, you're not related to them enough.
You need paperwork to even prove it.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Oh God. What do you have any upcoming projects you could tell us about, Natasha?
Dude, yes. I have 2 that I can openly talk about. And I have all this I have all my stuff that I'm pitching right now written about on my website. So it's not really like I try to keep anything that secret. But I have my Instagram series that I told you guys about before, that's called Monogamish. And that is about a couple that is exploring an open relationship for the first time. And that is with me and another comedian, Trenton Davis. And we're going to be starting to film that in 2 weeks. And then I have my series, Diary of a Bad Fiance, that I'm putting out starting in December.
What's that about? Are you the bad fiance, or do you have a bad fiance?
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't have a diary about somebody else. I've been engaged for 1.5 years now, and in the spring of this year, we were 4 months out from our original wedding date, and decided to not get married on our original wedding date because we've been together for 7 years, but this engagement has been a really interesting time. Like, and I've talked about this a lot, but it's not bad or good. It's not like we're having troubles or we don't like each other anymore, but it's like you have to kind of mentally decide that you want to be somebody's wife. And I've never really needed that title. So it was just kind of a different mindset for me to kind of shift into that. And I started writing about it and decided that I wanted to put it out as a book originally. But, you know, it's harder to get a book out unless you already have a series out. So I kind of thought backwards. So I'm going to be putting out little digital clips on Instagram just as teasers. And then in the spring, I go out and headline in Europe. And I'm going to do a couple snippets of my one-woman show there. And then I'm going to take my one-woman show to Edinburgh Fringe next summer. And after that, it's going to debut in New York. And then from there, I'm going to start pitching it as a series.
Awesome. Awesome. What is your fiance supportive of it? Cause
yeah, I mean, at first he wasn't, and he's a fucking trooper because I lay my soul bare, and so if there's anything that feels like it's not lining up right in life, I'll talk about it on stage or in something I'm writing. So there's really nothing that's safe if you're with me. So he knows that.
He
We've
knows
known each other for
what
12.
he signed up for.
You just talk a lot of shit about your fiance, and he's like, all right.
There's actually no shit to talk about him. Like, he does nothing wrong. It's all me. And so it's going to be it's going to be totally fun because the perspective is from myself and the thoughts that I went through and still go through, and nothing to do with man bashing. It's absolutely not that. It's kind of going to be like a vagina monologue, but for myself and for engagement, you know?
Do you think, like, does he hear or read any of it and he's kind of like, yeah, I never thought of that, but you're right. You kind of are like that.
Yeah, I've read to him, like, little things that I'm going to put out. And he's been doing the photography for it for me because I started an Instagram page for it. I started an Instagram page for everything I'm working on so I can build its own brand separate. And so he has been supportive. Even when he's been fearful, he's still supportive. So God bless him.
Natasha, we have to wrap this up, but thank you so much for talking to us.
Of course. And go ahead and tweet out when you guys put this out or whatever.
Yes.
Whatever I can retweet you guys, let me know.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
And where can everybody find you?
Everybody can find me at NTH Comedy on Instagram and on Twitter, NTH being Natasha Pearl Hansen. I always have to say that because sometimes people think it's an M, and my first name is not Natasha.
All right. Thank you so much, Natasha.
Thank you, guys. It's been fun chatting.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
You too.